Hi, this is Robert, and I'm coming to you with another auto care video tip. And the reason I'm bringing you these video tips is because I've had cars that last over 400,000 miles. And I believe that the average car constructed within the last 15 years is designed to last 200,000 miles easy. So I want to help you understand how to get more out of your vehicle. Now, this video, I'm going to talk about maintenance schedule. There's a lot of things that we're supposed to do in a car that we just simply neglect. But if you take care of the scheduled maintenance items on the car, it's highly possible that your car will last 200,000 miles without any problems at all. So if you get your owner's manual out, which is something you should have, if you don't have one, you can often find them online at your manufacturer's website, or you can order one off of eBay or something for 10 or 15 bucks. Anyway, when you look in the owner's manual, near the front there'll be an index, and one of the items in the index will say routine maintenance and service. So you turn to that section, and you can read a few pages on that to familiarize yourself with your engineer's recommendation. Believe it or not, there's a team of engineers that help produce this vehicle that can help you maintain it properly. When you get to that maintenance schedule section in the owner's manual, it'll look kind of like this. When you look in it, you'll see several mileage markers on there, and then you'll see things that are recommended for you to do. The very first thing on the scheduled maintenance recommendation is oil and filter changes. You know, I've heard of people changing the oil without the filter. I don't know why anybody would ever do that, run clean oil through a dirty filter. But anyway, oil and filter needs to be changed. My car says inspect it at the 1,500 mile interval and replace it every 5,000 miles if it has a turbocharger. My car does. Now, my manual is for the turbo models and the non-turbo models, so both of them are here. If the car is not turbo, it can go as many as 10,000 miles without an oil change. I couldn't imagine doing that. I have a hard enough time just replacing it every 5,000 miles, and I do that with full synthetic oil, which people say you can actually let that go longer. So anyway, the first thing in the maintenance chart is your oil and your filter. Replace it every 5,000 miles. Now, what I've decided to adapt to make it easy for me is every 5,000 clicks on my odometer, I do the mileage. So I change it at 190,000. I change it at 195. I change it at 200,000. I change it at 205. I change it at 210,000, which was my last oil change. I'll change it again at 215,000. The very next item listed on the maintenance item is replacing the drive belt. My car has two belts. One of them is a timing belt. The other one is a drive belt. The timing belt is not visible. It's closed up in the engine. It's a very sensitive belt on my car. The other belt is a drive belt, which goes around the air conditioner, the alternator, and the power steering pump and the crank. So that belt is supposed to be replaced in my car every 60,000 miles. Now, what a lot of people don't know about the drive belt is that belt will actually have cracks in it and still be serviceable. They actually have a crack tolerance limit, and I think on my car there can be 40 cracks in a 1-inch spot, and that's considered acceptable. So anyway, the manual suggests that I replace that belt every 60,000 miles. The next item on my maintenance schedule is the air cleaner filter. They say replace the air cleaner filter on my car every 30,000 miles. So I change it at 30, I change it at 60, I change it at 90, I change it at 120, I change it at 150, I change it at 180, I change it at 210. Well, I actually took it upon myself to install a special filter in my car that is supposed to last 1,000,000 miles. And that filter is supposed to be cleaned every 50,000 miles. So what I've decided to do is to clean that filter every 30,000 miles. And I installed it at 190. So at 120, I will clean that filter. The next thing my maintenance schedule says is to replace the spark plugs every 30,000 miles. Well, my car runs best with the Volvo spark plugs, and it is a Volvo car. Every 30,000, I'm supposed to replace these spark plugs because the performance of the plugs start to diminish, and they start costing me gas mileage and performance mainly. The strange thing about these newer cars that are computer ran, cars built after 1991, is that these cars will start and run what seems to us to be good, even though the spark plugs are older than they recommend. So I'm going to encourage you not to keep those spark plugs in that car for a long time. Go ahead and replace them when they're recommended, and you won't have any problems with your spark plugs. So every 30,000 miles, I'm supposed to change my spark plugs, and that's what I'm going to shoot to do. The next thing on my maintenance schedule is the automatic transmission fluid. Now, it's been highly recommended on my car that you never replace the transmission fluid. But in my manual, it recommends a transmission fluid inspection every 10,000 miles. They're inspecting this transmission fluid for a reason. If the fluid appears to be contaminated and in need of change, they're going to recommend that it's replaced. So I would say have it checked for its contamination or condition every 10,000 miles according to my maintenance schedule. And if it's in need of replacement, it'll be replaced. I go ahead and replace my transmission fluid every 20,000 miles. Now, some places recommends these power flushes and this additives and all that kind of stuff. I never do that. All I do is drain the fluid and add fresh fluid back. No power flushing for me. Okay, the next thing on my maintenance schedule is a timing belt replacement. My car is supposed to have the timing belt replaced every 70,000 miles. So whenever I get to 70,000 miles in my car, I replace the timing belt. Now, on my car, the timing belt has a couple other components related to the timing belt. One of them is a water pump. Another one is a tensioner that keeps the belt tight. Another one is a tensioner roller. Another one is a idler roller. Now, those four components is in the path of the timing belt. Now, what I do is I recommend that people replace those other items every other belt change. However, if you inspect any of those items during the belt replacement, you may need to replace them sooner. So it may not be uncommon to replace the tensioner or the idler roller during a belt change. So the next item is the exhaust pipe attachments to the turbocharger. That is supposed to be inspected every 100,000 miles to make sure that the turbocharger connections and the exhaust flanges and things are not leaking air or leaking oil or coolant out of the turbocharger. Another thing is retorquing of some bolts in there. That's done early on in my car. Then we have the fuel filter that should be replaced every 100,000 miles. Sad to say, Some cars actually have the fuel filter inside the fuel tank. So they have to enter the fuel tank to replace that filter, which is a drag. So mine is not. It can be replaced outside of the car fuel tank. It's an easy replacement. Then my car has a PVC adapter, which is a breather system that needs to be serviced. And there's just several things that need to be inspected and replaced. One thing that is often neglected is brake fluid replacement. Brake fluid should be replaced every 30,000 miles in my car. If you don't do that, you can end up with seized calipers and things like that. A lot of things need lubricated, like your antennas that go up and down, your door hinges and stuff like that. And if you keep these maintenance items up to date, checked off, and seen about when they're due, your car can run almost like brand new for 200,000 miles. So I want to encourage you, get your owner's manual out, check that maintenance chart, and get on top of those maintenance items. If you don't know if they've been done within the last 30 or 60 days, just have them all done as soon as you can. And in the back of your owner's manual, there's normally some pages that are blank that you could take notes on. Have whoever does the servicing make notes in the owner's manual as to when these things were done. If not, print you off a piece of paper, write those things down, and slide the piece of paper in the owner's manual so that you'll know when the last time the spark plugs were done, and just keep that stuff in the glove box in the manual. I've seen people try to keep all the receipts and things like that in there. I don't think that's necessary, but I do encourage you to keep a written record of all the maintenance that was done on your car. Anytime I do anything to my car or my daughter's car, I document it in the owner's manual information so that I can go back and see, or someone else can go back and see, when the last time particular items were serviced on the car. Thanks for watching, and keep your car serviced.